This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In breaking news, leading scientists worldwide are conducting experiments to determine if Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. However, it appears the study was inconclusive, as the scientists couldn't help but eat all the Reese's. Because when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's. Find Reese's now at a store near you.
Whether you're a diehard sports fan, a hopeless romantic, or a comedy aficionado, the Xfinity 10G network was made for streaming it all. Worry less about buffering when streaming your favorite shows, movies, or live sports, and enjoy a better way to watch. Xfinity gives you a reliable connection for streaming, plus all the entertainment you love all in one place. Fear not, because now you can finally sit back, relax, and stream your favorite entertainment and sports like never before with the Xfinity 10G network.
I'm a mess. I'm such a wreck.
Hey Geekscapists, with Valentine's Day around the corner, we've decided to hook you up. Geekscape has partnered with the video dating app Filter Off to bring you a free and fun video speed dating event on Saturday, February 13th. To take part, all you've got to do is download the Filter Off dating app to your smartphone. Find the Geekscape event and RSVP with the code GeeksLove2. That's TOO, because we do love to. You don't have to wait until Valentine's to use the app either. It's fun and free, and Matt Kelly has already racked up a ton of dates on it, so what have you got to lose? Download Filter Off, and we'll see you on February 13th. Geekscape forever.
There's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
So, this is a weird one. This is one that you brought up a topic that you wanted to talk about. And then as we talked about it, neither one of us knew if we could get a full episode based on just that topic, and it kind of spawned into this. But you originally wanted to talk about a specific sequence in the video game Bully.
Yes. So one of my top 3 favorite games of all time is Rockstar's Bully. Rockstar is the company that put out Grand Theft Auto. Mm-hmm. They put out Red Dead Redemption, and they also put out Bully, which is basically those games set at a school, set at a boarding school. And what I love about the game Bully is that it literally spans a year of his life at the school. So you go through the daily life of this kid in school. You're doing missions and stuff, but at the same time is still passing around you. There's a Halloween sequence. There's a Christmas sequence.
Okay.
And what I love about it is it literally feels like Christmas Day. You're given this specific Christmas mission. You get a Rudolph Christmas sweater. And I wish more games did that. And what was awesome, why this game always makes me think of Christmas is because I got it for Christmas.
And that's kind of where we decided to lean into this, was like video game Christmas gifts. Because I have really only one, but it was like a big, like I could talk just about that one gift on that one day.
Okay.
But I want to dive into some of your stuff as well, because you are much more of a gamer than anyone in my family is.
Yeah.
Our big one was the PlayStation 1.
Okay.
I'm getting the PlayStation 1, and I remember that we got 2 games, and we got the sampler game. Like that disc that just had like one level
all
of every game. Oh my God. So we played the shit out of that demo. We played so many single levels from games. But the 2 games that my parents got us, one was called like Cool Borders 3. And it was basically
I love Cool Borders.
Dude, Cool Borders 3, I played that first level so many times because it was just like me and my siblings constantly trying to outdo each other for like time and points.
Yeah.
It was just a downhill. It was like a downhill slope with like whatever. And then still to this day, one of my favorite video games, Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've tried many times to like really truly be a gamer.
Yeah.
And it's something that I just can't get into. And I think it's just time based. There's a
Yeah.
lot of time that gets put into it. And in my head, it's like, well, that time could be spent recording a podcast or editing a podcast or watching a movie or binging a TV series. Like,
Dude, there's a lot. I mean, one of the past episodes we talked about our backlog of movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
My backlog of games
Yeah.
is huge. It's a huge stack. I feel the same way. Like, I have a really hard time sitting down and turning my brain off and playing a game,
And that's the
allowing
thing.
myself to dedicate that time.
I can put on a movie and do something else.
Yeah.
I can put on a record and do something else. I can throw on
Yeah.
a TV show and do something else. I can't multitask while playing a video
No,
game.
you can't.
It's like it's specifically the most I can do is have music playing while I'm playing
Yeah.
the game. But like, I'm very much a multitask person at all times.
Yeah.
But what will get me to focus is if I play games that are nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
So putting on like Crash Bandicoot Warped, like, yeah, you'll get my attention for 2 to 3 hours. I'll sit there
Yeah.
and play the shit out of it. It was funny because while I was driving here, I was thinking about this topic and I was like, man, I kind of want to grab an old PlayStation. I think my sister still has an old PlayStation 1 and play Cool Borders 3.
Hell yeah.
Just for the nostalgia going down
Yeah.
that hill. But like for me, a lot of it, like a lot of the stuff that I still play, if you're going to catch me playing any video games, it's usually going to be a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis game because
Yeah.
like there is so much nostalgia tied to those two specific systems.
Yeah.
Everything else, it's like, yeah, if I go to a friend's house and they want to like play Mario Kart on the Switch or whatever, like I'll play.
Yeah.
But to me, video games has always, very rarely, if ever, was my Christmas list have anything video game related
So
on it.
that's hilarious because growing up through the years, my Christmas list was dominated with video game
I think your video
related
games was my
items.
movies. Like mine would just
Yeah.
be list of movies and records that I wanted. That's all I
Yeah.
ever asked for.
Before we decided we were going to stick specifically to video games, there are movies that I've gotten for Christmas that wouldn't exactly be seen as Christmas movies, but I got them for Christmas,
So
so I
they
watched
are.
them around that time. So they become Christmas movies. One of my examples is Superbad. Superbad's not a Christmas movie, but I got it for Christmas one year, and that movie to me will always remind me of the holidays.
Similar to us at my house is Austin Powers Goldmember.
Yeah.
It was one of the first DVDs that we owned. For a long period, there was 3 DVDs in our house, and one of them was Austin Powers Goldmember that we got for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we watched it Christmas night.
Yeah.
And then there was nothing else to do, so we watched it Christmas Day.
Love
and
it.
like that whole holiday break, we just kept watching Austin Powers Goldmember.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is not a Christmas movie
No.
in any way, shape, or form.
That's so funny because a similar, again, before we get back into the video games, when I was 9 or 10, I got a portable DVD player for Christmas because my parents love to go on long trips. So I got a portable DVD player for Christmas, and my parents were not worried about like what I was watching. Like they knew that like I knew better than to like they were not people to prevent me from watching a PG-13 or an R-rated movie. Like they were never into sheltering me. So what I had gotten was this portable DVD player and a copy of the Jet Li movie Black Mask. So I distinctly remember it for Christmas that year. I was sitting in the back seat of this van watching Black Mask off of my new portable DVD player as we rode to my grandmother's for Christmas that year.
Dude, so can we just admit that portable DVD players kind of sucked?
Oh, dude, portable DVD players were hot garbage.
Like, it's not like a portable CD player was like totally, like, there was plenty of media that totally worked in a portable circumstance. The DVD players never worked properly. They were bulky.
most of the time, the screen was no bigger than a Game Boy screen.
Yeah, it was just like, what a terrible way to take in a movie.
Yeah. So eventually, again, because my parents did do the big trips, they eventually had like one of those like car screens, like the DVD player that was built into the car.
Yeah.
So eventually we graduated to that. Certain gifts that like I would get over Christmas, just they make me feel Christmassy now. Going back to video games, even up to this year, my list is dominated by video games, mainly because the price of them at this point.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I'm not going to buy that for myself.
So this year for me, it was doing complete series of a show.
Yeah.
So I got like the Schitt's Creek complete series and that Rocky and Bullwinkle box set because it's
Yeah.
like I could buy these season by season, or I could convince someone to drop the $40 on Christmas morning to just get me all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I want to get you back into video games because I don't know if you're aware, but they re-released the first 3 Crash Bandicoots.
That's amazing.
In a remastered format, and they just came with like the official sequel. Brand new, just came out, Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time is what it's called.
It's so funny because I have an Xbox 360 in the basement,
Yeah.
and my nephew was like, "Oh, what games do you have?" And I'm like, "None." He's like, "Then why
Yeah.
do you have an Xbox?" I'm like, "It's for the WWE Network and Netflix when I'm in the basement."
I love it. And actually, WWE is a great segue because before we get into consoles, let's talk about the WWE games because the WWE games dating back to like the first SmackDown versus Raw,
Okay.
which was like 04, I think, was when it finally went from SmackDown to SmackDown versus Raw. I got the WWE game every
Nice.
year. Like
Okay.
every year.
I was going to say, because the only WWE game that I have any real true nostalgia for is I was of that perfect age when Nintendo 64 was a console that every kid had except for myself.
Yeah.
And sleepovers were dominated by playing the first Mario Party, playing
Yeah.
GoldenEye, and playing WWE No Mercy.
No Mercy. Yeah. No
which
Mercy.
had the incredible Royal Rumble levels.
Yeah.
Like, that was all, we would set it on Royal Rumble because the thing that was cool with the Royal Rumble levels was that, like, you could pick your player and you would be one of the first 4 entrants into the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But then when you got eliminated, it would just auto-select you to be whoever the next person was.
Yep.
So then it became almost fun to get eliminated because then it was like the big mystery of like, who are you going to be next? So
Yep.
like,
I like that. Yeah.
that was so much. And that's like, I have no memories with most of the kids that I hung out with in middle school, except for playing No Mercy.
Yeah. So I would get it every year. It was like clockwork because the games, they always ended up releasing their game in October.
Yeah. And they still do, really.
Yeah.
I guess that's the 2K stuff is still like basically a September, October release.
Yeah. So I would get it, and it would always be the first game I would play. So the way Christmas used to work, now everybody just comes to my parents' house. But the way my Christmas used to work is I would wake up at home, do
Yeah.
gifts with my parents, and then everybody would get ready, and we'd go to my grandmother's. And then this was when I lived closer to Baltimore.
Okay.
So I would open my gifts. One of them was always the WWE game, whatever the new WWE game was. And I would load that up. Why? Because it's real easy to just jump into a match, play a match,
And then you can go
yeah,
when you need to go,
exactly.
yeah.
So I wasn't breaking into anything else. So it was always something about Christmas morning. I knew Christmas morning I was gonna wake up, eat a big breakfast with my family, and go
some
play
WWE
some
wrestling.
WWE. Yeah. So that's always something that stuck with me. Consoles were always a big thing.
The consoles were
Christmas,
like the
too.
big, but that's like, I think that's the thing that kind of bums me out about being an adult. I don't think that there's anything that I'm ever going to get that's going to be like the big gift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was always like, oh, that's the big gift this year.
Yeah.
It's like, what the big gift do
What
I
is the
really
big gift?
need? Like it's like, all right, like I got most of my needs
Yeah.
and now I just want like stupid little frivolous things. And we've talked about before, like at this point, it's like I'm more into the giving than the getting most of
Yeah.
the time anyway. But there is something that's a bummer about like, you know, like you watch like the Christmas Story, and you know he's so excited for that gun,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't have anything like that anymore.
See, my dad was the dad from the Christmas Story.
Well, you told me that
Yeah.
he was like whatever you needed, you were going to get.
Yeah. So he would also always do the special, which was he would take a gift and keep it till the end of the night. Because he was always like, he's like, well, Christmas, you wake up, you open your gifts, it's kind of done. Like
Yeah.
it's over. He's like, no, he would take one gift, the big gift or whatever
The
it
big
was,
gift.
and put it away and give it to you like 5-6 o'clock that night during dinner time. It was always so awesome. And that kind of, it almost turned into whenever there was a year that a new console had come out,
You knew.
that was the gift.
That's pretty dope.
But you were still super stoked because you're like, holy shit, like I'm getting this.
But there'd always be that mystery. Will this be the year
Yeah.
of the big gift? I mean, the thing that always this is not Christmas related, it's birthday related. But I had an old NES. It was like a hand-me-down NES as
Yeah.
a kid, and I was having a birthday party, and I was opening gifts, and I opened 2 different gifts that were Super Nintendo games,
Yeah.
and I was so bummed because I'm like, I don't have the Super Nintendo. They bought me the wrong game. And then out came the big gift, which was the Super
Nintendo.
But I was like, I remember I was literally like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No one knows what I have. This
Yeah.
sucks. Now I got these games mocking me.
I mean, there was one year my special was an N-Gage. Do you remember the N-Gage?
what is an
The N-Gage was a phone and gaming system.
What?
Okay. So it was in the shape of like a Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
And the phone was on the side of it. So you had to hold it almost like, so take your iPhone and instead of like answering it like this, you would answer it like this. Like
That's
the
insane.
speaker was here
That's insane.
and it would play. I got to pull up a picture of it.
I-
If you're listening at home, you really need to look up
Yeah,
the
Google. I
N-Gage.
guess Google this. I mean, it's so funny to think about while you're pulling that up, like cell phone technology, because like remember the 2 or 3 years when like the Sidekick was all the rage when it was like
Yeah,
flick it,
this
like-
was actually like very similar
oh,
timing.
I do remember this.
Yeah, so that came out, but they would put out. There were albums that came out for it, and I actually had 2 albums for it. It was just a little SD card. I had Simple Plan's first record
Nice.
on the N-Gage, and I had Sean Paul's
Fire.
album,
no,
Duddy Rock.
God damn it.
Duddy Rock.
That's so insane.
Plus, I could play Tomb Raider on it. So.
So ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. But like our generation was just sold so much crap. Like we had great things, but like, do you remember? I always see people post about this and like if you were a kid in the 90s, you remember this.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was called like clip hits,
Oh my God, hit clips.
hit clips. Where
Yeah.
it's literally just you didn't even get
30
the full
seconds.
song.
30 seconds of a song.
You paid like $20 for
Yeah,
it.
30 seconds of a song, and we were set, dude.
Yeah, I was a big Kasingle guy. I
Okay.
would go because they would be like $2.
Yeah.
You go by and it's like, hey, buy this Kasingle, and you'll get Shaggy Boombastic on one side and a different version of Shaggy Boombastic on the other side.
Sometimes it was a B-side, sometimes it was a terrible remix
Yeah.
of whatever song.
So for me, it was always like I would lean into the Kasingles when I was like, so this was at that point where I was like getting into punk music. So I
Yeah.
knew that it wasn't acceptable for me to have pop music.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I can hide a Kasingle. So like, I'd be like, oh no, I don't like Shaggy. I just really like the song Boombastic. Or like the other big Kasingles for me were Ricky Martin, Living the Via Loca. I had the Kasingle for, and Bewitched, C'est La Vie. I had the Kasingle
Dude,
for.
both bangers.
Dude, now in 2020, I would argue that C'est La Vie might be one of the best 90s pop songs.
Oh, it's a great song.
That song is so catchy.
It's a great song. I had a CD single of the Thong Song.
Of course you did.
Going back to like things
Yes,
that we
the
were
video game
convinced
stuff.
things that we were convinced to buy. Video Nows. The fuck, you don't remember Video Nows? They were kind of like portable DVD players, but the screen was on the thing that played the
Yes.
disc
Okay.
as
I know.
well.
Okay. Yeah, I do vaguely remember this now that you're describing it to me. Let me see the picture. Yep. Yeah. No, that looks awful. God, we were dumb.
Super dumb.
We were really, really dumb.
And I mean, at this time, they were selling peripherals for the Game Boy to play, like animations and movies. You could watch Shrek on your Game Boy. It was a horrible choice. To
And now
make.
they're saying like, oh, we can't get people to go to the movie theaters. Like, and we're buying movies on our video gaming consoles.
Exactly.
It was ridiculous. We would buy
Exactly.
anything. All right, so video games, you got your wrestling stuff all the time. What was of all of the big gifts? What was the one that you think was the highest anticipation level for you?
So going back, because I knew about this gift before, I was with my parents. The new Batman Arkham Asylum was coming out for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And I had an Xbox 360, but this game was first coming out for the PlayStation 3. And it was the only version of the game where you could also play as the Joker.
Okay.
So I was losing my mind. I was like, I want this fucking game so bad. So my dad goes, I'm going to give it. We're going to get this. But this is your gift. This is your big Christmas gift. Like, you'll get other smaller stuff, but this is the one. He's like, you're going to know about it, but we're getting it. So he got the PlayStation 3, got back Batman Arkham Asylum, and got a game called DJ Hero, which was Guitar Hero, except you were a DJ. It came with a
I remember DJ. I remember DJ Hero.
Came with
yeah.
the turntable and everything. And here's why this gift meant so much. So that morning, I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like, I know I'm getting it, but I'm ready to hook that shit up. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So hook it up, get it all hooked up. Fucking, I don't know if you're familiar with modern video games, but there's no such thing as put game in, play. Now
Yeah,
it is
so load
put game
everything.
in, install, update.
Yeah. I experienced that just trying to watch Netflix on my Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I always have to update and install
Yeah.
new stuff.
So, as a point of reference, I got Cyberpunk this year. I put the disc in. It's took a 2-hour install and an update. So, like, I still have not touched it, and we're recording this 3 days after I've received it. So,
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
and hopefully, honestly, by the time you're hearing it, hopefully all the patches and all the bugs have been handled, and the game is game of the year for this year.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
everything's everything's updating. And my best friend Max lived up the street from me, and him and I were texting. He's like, "Yeah, we're pretty much done here. Got done breakfast and everything." And I looked at my dad, and I'm like, "This is weird, but can he come over? Like, I'm like, I know it's Christmas and everything." And he's like, "Yeah, everybody's coming here for Christmas. He can come over." So Max came over, and we sat and played DJ Hero for 7 hours.
That's
dude.
amazing.
7
That's so
hours.
good.
Like, and it's like, this wasn't even like a kid thing. This happened. I was a sophomore,
I was gonna
junior
say,
in
this
high
has to
school.
be
Like, this is,
high school for you because it was probably college for me when all this.
yeah,
was,
I was in high school, and that is hands down one of my favorite Christmas memories.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. In breaking news, leading scientists worldwide are conducting experiments to determine if Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. However, it appears the study was inconclusive, as the scientists couldn't help but eat all the Reese's. Because when you want something sweet, you can't do better than Reese's. Find Reese's now at a store near you.
Did you ever sneak a peek at gifts?
Cover your ears, everyone. Yes,
Okay.
multiple times.
So I've only ever done it once.
Really?
It was not even intentional. A lot of time my parents would just like leave me and my brothers and sisters alone in the house.
Yeah,
And we were playing hide and seek.
yeah,
And I hid in my dad's closet because he had, it was like this weird little like slope
yeah.
in his closet, which was like kind of fun to slide down. I was like, all right, I'll hang out in there and I'll just keep sliding
Yeah.
down there until they find me. Like, it was like the best place to keep me occupied while I was waiting for like my siblings to find me. And as I was like climbing up there, I like grabbed this bag and I was like, what the hell is this? And I pull it down and I remember I picked out one of the tapes and it was a VHS tape. And it was when they had just released all of the Universal classics on like these specialty VHS tapes that have like Dracula on the front of
Yeah.
it. And it was Dracula. And I was like, and I like looked in and it was like almost every single one of them. It was like Creature,
Yeah.
Wolfman. And I was so excited. It was like one of those things where I was like, I was so excited, but I was also so afraid to say that I had found it. So like I put it all back and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
never checking there again. Like I can't like I was like really, I was so terrified of being caught doing anything bad as a child.
Yeah.
But it also led to what ultimately like made me start to lose my belief in Santa.
Aw.
Because when I got those gifts, they were from Santa and not from my parents. And like that's when I like had to have the conversation with my
Shit.
mom where I was like, hey, why did this say from Santa, but I know that it was in your closet? And she very quickly was like, well, Santa dropped them off for us and asked me to wrap them for him.
Oh,
And I
go,
was like,
Mom.
okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm convinced.
Story checks out. All right.
Sign me up for that one.
Which is such a better version of that story to tell kids.
Yeah.
Is just be like, no, he doesn't make the trip all in one night. He comes to the parents' houses when you guys are asleep throughout the month
Yeah.
of December and says, here's the gifts. Please wrap them for me.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
That makes more sense to me. I'm like, that story checks out.
I mean, the logistics of of what Santa does. That's the only thing that pulls me out of Christmas movies, is those Christmas movies where Santa exists, but nobody believes that Santa exists. Because I'm like, where the fuck do they think these presents came from?
100%. That's the craziest part about it. You either have to go all in or all out. During the live stream, past guest Joey,
Yeah.
also a Santa Claus, wrote a very fun RPG for us that was inspired by
Ooh.
Abed's Unstoppable Christmas.
Love it.
Where all of the Geekscape team were toy versions of our favorite toys as kids.
Yeah.
And we saw Santa. I forget what hit him, but he's like, you're sitting there and you're watching Rudolph's red nose flying off into the sky, and all of a sudden, things are going wrong. Why are they heading downward? You hear, oh no! And we had to, with our tiny little toy legs, had to get back to save Santa after his sleigh crashed.
I love it.
But along the way, we found all of these things that explained how Santa's stuff worked, and my favorite one was a watch that stopped time except
Okay.
for the holder of the watch.
Okay.
So that's how we escaped one of the monsters, was we froze it in time while we all
Yeah.
clung to the watch and then ran away together until the
That's
time ran out.
awesome.
But it was a fun little, you can watch on YouTube, Geekscape Saves Christmas, if
Yeah.
you search that. It was a fun little game. I got to play a robot named Matt.
There you go.
I forget what it stood for. Everyone else had crazy toy names.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Beep boop.
Yeah, he's like, you are a robot named Matt.
Matt.
It's like, great.
Thanks a lot. But yeah, that always pulls me out. Like in Santa Claus, Charlie's mom's like, what do you mean you're Santa? Like that doesn't make any sense. But there's this huge pile of gifts. Like, where did those gifts come from?
Yeah,
If there is no Santa Claus.
Because then if you go through the reality of it, where it's like, well, if you don't believe in Santa Claus, he doesn't bring you anything. And it's like, well, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
That's also not great. But yeah, I agree. There's that element. If we're talking about the reality, in most cases, I guess the dad doesn't know one way or the other. But the mom should be like, I didn't buy that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I know my husband's not going
It
out there and
happens
buying surprise
in
gifts.
The Santa Claus, Elf, the most recent, the Christmas Chronicles ones,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, the Santa, ha ha ha. Where the fuck do these presents come from?
Yeah. That has always bothered me in those
Yeah.
movies, because I do try to figure out the logic of well, why don't the parents understand that Santa's dropping off surprise gifts?
Exactly.
I've always thought that one of the things that I would love to do, and I never do it, but I'd love to buy a shit ton of gifts for myself and then wrap them all and make them from Santa and put them under the tree where none of my family knows who got them for
Oh my
me.
God, that'd be fucking awesome.
But I feel like at 35, they're going to be like, Matt, you obviously bought
Yeah.
those for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not tricking anybody. I'm like, but I didn't. But I don't have a poker face. So I'd be like,
Yeah,
I
dude,
did
same
it.
here. Same here. The video game Christmas thing nowadays, I brought this up, is that video games have become so expensive that
Yeah.
I can't afford to buy them for myself. So I wait till the season where I'm like, hey, here's 6 games I want. If you could just get me 2 out of the 6,
Yeah.
I am good to go.
Well, and I feel like video game designers, it kind of sucks because they also seem to know that that's the route that people take. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like that November to December time period is
Stacked.
really when the big drops happen.
Yeah, it's the holiday season is when, and that's the problem with a lot of these games getting rushed out. They want to be rushed out to meet that holiday
Yeah.
season.
I mean, I haven't played any WWE game in quite a hot minute, but I hear that the most recent 2K game was just an abysmal.
Yes,
just
so
a mess.
I did bring up that I get one every year, and I made a specific point to say, please do not.
Yeah,
Nobody get me this this game last Christmas when they put out WWE 2K20, and then this year was WWE Battlegrounds, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm all right.
live
We
without
can
these.
skip over those.
You're just gonna get that AEW game when it drops instead, aren't you?
Oh my God, 100%. Especially if I hate to sound cliche, but if it's gonna have that No Mercy type engine on it,
Yeah.
I'm all about
That's
it.
good shit.
So I guess more recently, with the whole gaming thing and why video games as a medium remind me of Christmas, is MagFest.
Okay.
So MagFest, for those of you who aren't located on the East Coast, is a huge music and gaming festival that takes place at the National Harbor in DC.
Okay.
Huge. It is 4 days long, 24 hours, all weekend. There's 3 convention-sized floors in the basement of the convention center. One is dedicated to free arcade games. One is dedicated to vendors. One is dedicated to console games. And then throughout the entire hotel, they're doing different panels, musical performances, everything. I mean, it is huge, huge. But it always takes place the weekend after the new year.
Oh,
So-
yeah. It's like that January.
Exactly. So it was always a gift I would ask for too. Is I'm like, if I get nothing else, get my MagFest ticket.
Yeah.
Like that's something that's now going away. Event gifts.
I never got event gifts.
No?
Never. Yeah. I mean, because you have to think that like I was never that into the convention circuit until I was going as a vendor.
Okay.
And I think it's because I do have like crowd anxiety. I've always had crowd anxiety. Like that's not like a pandemic thing. Like I don't like being like shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of people.
Okay.
But I also always feel like I do everything that I need to get done within 2 hours, and then I feel like I wasted my money. Like when I would go to like Wizard World Philadelphia, or even like Too Many Games, or like any of those like smaller conventions that happen in this area or in this general area, I just always felt like I would hit all the vendors that I wanted to see. I very rarely had panels that I wanted to check out.
Yeah.
And then I'd just be like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting back in my car and going now. So it's like I just paid like $20 to come here to spend $100 and go home.
I get it.
But having like a booth where I could sit and have a table separating me from a crowd, and like obviously making money, but like also like talking to people. Like I like to talk to people.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of conversation that happens on a convention floor. Like it's usually afterwards at like hotels and stuff like that. So like that was like a really great way for me to like meet and interact with people. And obviously like all of you guys, the whole spooky squad of like Monster Mania, like getting to hang out in the hotel room like allowed us to become better friends. But even like Joe, Rob, and Sean, as people that I've always known, I never really knew them well until doing the convention. So they would come by to say hello, and then we would talk for 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, I can't wait to see them later on tonight. Now, like, you know what I mean? Like it was like before they were just like, oh yeah, that's the drummer of my friend's band. But now it's like, no, he's also my friend now. Like it was that cool like dynamic shift. And that is something, but because I always had to pay for vendor tables, there was never like I've never really had like an event gift like that.
Yeah.
But I know friends who do like they'll get like concert tickets as like Christmas gifts and stuff.
Yeah, and it's what I liked about getting the MagFest for Christmas is it's not like, hey, I got you this concert ticket for this thing that's happening in July.
Yeah, it's like, no,
like,
this is like
happening
in like
2
weeks.
Like you're going. Like so it was always the countdown to going to that event. I don't know, man. Video games, I love gaming in general. I love gaming news. Like I find myself watching more and listening more to things based around the medium.
I think that it's kind of a bummer that I was never that into games, because I do feel like that is like when people think Christmas, they think of like the videos of the kid opening the Super Nintendo and just like losing his fucking mind about it. Yeah, I think that there is definitely like a little bit of a bummer that like that stuff is kind of never was like a big thing for me. But I'm glad that it was a big thing for you.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like you were saying, we talked about cell phone addiction. That's another thing. Sorry to like get dark again, but
Let's get crazy.
That's another thing that makes my backlog of games that I haven't played grow.
Yeah.
Because I can't just sit down and fuck around on my phone. Like you said, if I put a movie on, I can scroll through. If I put a TV show on, I can scroll through or do whatever. If you're playing a game, you got to sit down. And it's like you said, unless you're like putting your phone off to the side with the face down, as soon as it lights up, I'm going to pause the damn game.
This is the crazy. This isn't the craziest thing, but this is fairly weird. For a long time, I had a room at one of my old houses that I lived in that we had 2 televisions side by side, one with the Super Nintendo hooked up to it and the other one with a DVD player hooked up to it, so you could put on a DVD and then start playing a video game. And like,
hey Matt, when I was a kid, I had 2 TVs in my room.
Yeah, for that.
One that I could watch TV on and one that I would play my video games on.
It was great.
It was one of those things. I think one night I was like, well, I don't know if I want to watch Raw or play this game. And that turned into me eventually having 2 TVs in my room.
Yeah, well, because I think, and here's where like that becomes controversial, is like, especially when you're playing like Super Nintendo, I would say up until like maybe like PlayStation 2,
Yeah.
you didn't really need any audio.
Yeah.
Or like now
There
they're
are
making
certain games.
there-
Now, hold on,
Yeah.
because we are going to get controversial here for a second. There are certain games, specifically in that SNES era, like Legend of Zelda.
yeah.
You need that sound, dude. You need the music. You need
No,
the
no, no,
music.
no, no. So I'm not.
A Link to the Past has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
And trust me, Link to the Past is my favorite video game of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with but I'm talking about like you could play the game silently and not
Yes.
miss anything.
Yeah.
Versus like, so one of the shows on Geekscape, Xbox Game Passengers, the whole game is built around people playing games on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I wanted to play, and I had an Xbox 360, so I signed up for Game Pass.
Yeah.
And now I'm forgetting the name of the game, but it was something Edith Finch.
Yeah. That is not a game you can not pay attention to.
Well, I just had my TV muted, and I was like listening to music while I was playing it. And like when I mentioned that to him on the episode, he's like, "But the game is so built around sound," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, maybe that's why I wasn't very good at it."
And that's one of the things is I don't know if it's just my ADHD or what. My stack of games is almost exclusively like RPGs that I haven't gotten to. Whereas it's real easy for me to throw on NHL 20 whatever,
Yeah,
throw a podcast on and play like 10 fucking games of hockey.
yeah.
Or when I was super into the WWE games, just playing match after match after match.
And there is a comfort to me with that. Like I loved like when I would occasionally bust out the SNES and I would just be like, all right, I'm just going to play like Maximum Carnage and I'm just
Yeah.
going to put on like a Spotify playlist on shuffle and just like enjoy some music while I crawl around on some fucking buildings and beat up 1,000 generic thugs
Yeah.
in an alley. The only other video game stuff that I can think of is like Super Nintendo games that my parents got for a couple of years.
Yeah, go for it.
Like I mean, I can barely remember. Like none of them. I think the only one that really sticks out is Super Star Wars. I still love Super Star Wars.
I love Super Star Wars. It's so bonkers.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's like it's not hard, but it is hard in the sense of like for me, I could never beat the Cantina level.
Yeah.
Because if you die in that Cantina level and you get reduced all the way to the beginner gun,
Yeah.
you're never going to beat the level.
No.
You have to beat it that first try with like the highest level gun,
Yep.
or you're fucked. And I always would die battling like the giant snake-armed guy that's in the Cantina.
Yeah.
But what makes me more angry is because like I know the movie Star Wars. I'm like, this is like just barely the beginning of the movie still. But then I like read up on it and I'm like, oh, this is like literally the level before the last level. Like I'm so close to beating this game, and it like makes me more angry, and then I just like don't want to play it at all.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, video games around Christmas time, I can think of like snow levels and stuff and talking about like
And I think we could bring in like some of the people from the gaming shows on Geekscape to
before we
really
get
dive into that.
But talking specifically about my experience, I mean, it's more of like games that I got for Christmas and then dedicated like that week to playing.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember. I don't think this is last year. I think it was the year before last. I had gotten the Uncharted collection and Uncharted 4. I had already played all 3 of the original Uncharted games, but that week I literally dedicated my time and played through the entire Uncharted series. And it was amazing to just watch to play from beginning to end. And that's always a series that I will now associate with that, like this time of year.
Yeah.
That's the same with Bully. Every year I think about replaying through Bully. You'll notice a lot of people who are gamers will rebuy the same game for like 15 different systems.
Yeah.
I have Bully on my PlayStation 2, on my PlayStation 4, on my Mac. I have it on my computer. Like I have that game,
Yeah.
and I've only played it through and beaten it like 2 or 3 times, but I own it for every system that it's come out for. I bought it for. So, and it's just something that for some reason this time of year that pops out of my head, even though the Christmas sequence that we described literally 15-20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Tops.
It's not a very long sequence.
But it's something that sticks with me. So there are certain gifts that just stick with you
Yeah.
throughout the years.
No, for sure. And I think that that's like some of the stuff I'm excited to dive into even deeper is like theoretical stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we've talked about like the physical stuff, like, oh, here's a Christmas special. But like we can dive into like those things that aren't Christmas, but feel Christmas because of association. And I think that this was like a fun way to like kind of dip our toe into that.
It's so funny that I'm going to bring this up to you as we're recording. What I never want to get into is worst gift.
Oh, for sure. There's no point. I've said before that I want us to try to stray. Like, if we have different opinions on something, for sure. But, like, I don't see any reason for us to ever talk about, like, the Jim Carrey, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, because neither one of us like it.
Exactly.
So, like, why put the negativity out there?
Yeah.
Like, let anybody else with a Christmas podcast who loves that movie talk about that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that one of us has to like something for us to be able to talk about it.
And it's fine. That's a nice balance. I wasn't the biggest Emmett Otter fan. You and Endot loves that movie.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Even Last Christmas, like, as much as that was like, yo, this movie's bonkers, like, there's still a part of me that really likes that movie.
I still really enjoyed watching that movie. And I'll always associate this year with the first time that I watched Last Christmas.
It's a good time, man. Time.
That's the point, is the whole purpose of this podcast is to have a good time. And that's why I never want to talk about worst Christmas gift, because even the quote unquote worst Christmas gift still has a lot of meaning behind it.
Someone gave a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a piece of advice someone gave me was when you're mocking anything, like, the worst movie you've ever seen is probably someone's favorite movie.
Yep.
So, like, you have to keep that in mind. It's like, the joke around our house is that my mom is like the world's greatest trier. And like, that's like the big thing. It's like, I can never be mad about bad gifts from my mom because I know that she saw something and said, Matt will love this.
Exactly.
And whether she was right or wrong, she thought about me when she saw something, and that's special.
Yeah. I cannot think of a gift that I would even talk about.
I know that my brother and I have both brought it up on Horror Movie Night, but my mom definitely did buy me a shirt that had a guitar on the front of it, and it had a little amplifier that you kept in your pocket. When you pressed buttons on it, it played guitar notes. And I was like, she got it for me when I was like a senior in college. And I'm like, I am not the age to be wearing
See,
this
I would
shirt.
never wear that in public, but that also sounds super dope.
I still got the shirt. I still have the shirt. That's what I mean. It's like, I love the shirt.
Yeah.
Just 10 years too late on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
One last thing to say, and that's Merry Christmas, Dylan.
Yes. Merry Christmas, Matt.
Oh, whoa, oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holly, have a great holly, have a merry happy holiday.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fafalius, and I'm the producer of Krista Makes a Podcast and the host of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
And I'm Matt Kelly, host of Horror Movie Night and the producer / the head of content for the Geekscape Podcasting Network.
Between the two of us, we have, believe it or not, 25 years of podcasting experience, and we want to help you start your own podcast.
We know podcasting, and we want to share that knowledge with you.
So whether you're new to podcasting or you want some feedback on your currently active podcast, we want to help.
Or perhaps you're just overwhelmed with all of the editing work. Well, we can help you with that also.
You can contact us at info@weknowpodcasting.com for more information.
We're excited to help your podcasting dreams become a reality.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.